Everyone, it's Brandon here again for another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about good and evil and sinning and how these things actually don't exist from the perspective of God. They still exist in a sense, as in it's not like God doesn't know about these things. It's rather that when you're in that state of consciousness, these things no longer play any role in how you act, essentially. So, God has infinite love for everything in existence, everything in creation. God just simply loves it with infinite love. That's how it approaches everything. And we have to realize that good and evil and sinning are all concepts that were created by humans. Sinning is meant to say it's something that's going to keep you from God, and sinning is true in some sense because there are certain activities you can do that will lower your consciousness, and there are others that can raise your consciousness. But I wouldn't quickly follow any church on what is a sin and what isn't, because most of these religious leaders have no clue, and they're just reading old books written by humans who probably did have a good connection with the divine, but it still was the human intellect trying to decipher God's message. If these people even had spiritual experiences, we don't know for a fact either way. But God has infinite love, and that means that God loves every evil action just as much as it loves any good action. That's how it is. It's indiscriminate love, love for all things. That's what God truly is, truly has. There's more than just love to God, such as infinite or omniscience or omnipresence, things like that. But these are human ideas. And now I'll tell you, we don't want to throw away our ideas of good and evil just because God doesn't view good and evil as good and evil. Sure, God accepts everything, but we live in a human existence, and the good things are conducive for making an existence that is more pleasurable to us and is less painful. So trying to create a world revolving more around the good makes a whole lot of sense. And trying to avoid evil at all costs makes sense as well. Of course, there are always going to be good things that happen in the world, and there are always going to be bad things. But we can find a little solace in the fact that God is infinite love. And infinite love is not going to damn you to hell for all of eternity. That is a God that isn't very loving. If there's a God that's going to do that to people, that is not a loving God. And now there are some Bible-thumping Christians who will say, well, God isn't all rainbows and love. You know, God hates sin. He hates sin. And it's like, maybe, but I don't think so. I think that if God is really a loving God, and from my experience, my personal experience, God is loving, we don't really have that much to worry about. Even taking into account karma, yes, if you do bad actions, you might come back to this earth or another place and experience a harsh life. But the end point in all of this is everyone merging back into God and becoming fully conscious of what God is and how they were God the entire time. We are like research nodes of consciousness sent out by God to explore its creation. And this is one way that God has omniscience, is it sends out these little probes into his creation, its creation. God isn't just a he, God could be female, God could be any gender. So if I misspeak in this video, just keep that in mind. But yeah, essentially the end point, according to the Law of One, which is a spiritual text that makes a whole lot of sense to me and has some really good information. If we follow what that suggests, is that we all are on our own evolution of consciousness, each being in existence. And in this world, this universe, any world, is on a journey to merge back again with the Creator. And we are doing that. We are now moving from what is known as third density consciousness to fourth density consciousness. A good example of fourth density consciousness is Jesus Christ. We are evolving as humans to come closer to that. And the truth of the matter is that we all actually at some point will out-evolve where Jesus Christ was. He was thousands of years ahead of his time with his consciousness and his love and compassion for other people. And that gave him certain abilities, being of a higher consciousness. But he was just in fourth density, mainly. And fifth density exists. Sixth density exists. Seventh density, or merging back into the Creator, exists. And then it goes on, it creates again, the cycle repeats itself, but in a different way. And we go on to higher levels of consciousness than just merging with God. That is basically what the Law of One teaches, one part of what it teaches. But it shows us that we are divine beings on a journey. Every last person, the worst person who has ever lived, is on a journey. The Law of One actually talks about Adolf Hitler and what happened to him. And a lot of people would think, oh, well, he went to hell. But no, he actually went to a special realm that was designed to heal him, because there were so many distortions in his own emotional field that he was a very tormented and troubled person. And rather than God, the Creator, coming to punish him for what he had done in his life on this earth, no, God understood what factors created the Adolf Hitler that we saw. And God, acted in a way that would help to cure some of these problems. And that's basically it. Adolf Hitler didn't even move to the next level of consciousness of evil or of service to self. Other humans have. It's very rare, because the service to self path is much harder than the service to others path. But nonetheless, that's what happened to Adolf Hitler according to the Law of One. And it ties into this good and evil idea. The service to self path that we as humans deem evil is just a different spiritual path. It doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong, and part of this whole creation that we're living in depends on there being other beings on the service to self path. It helps us to grow, for there to be diversity. Rather than the whole world to be boring, it's kind of like the whole world being the same person. That would be pretty boring. If the whole world was good or service to others, it would be a quickly evolving world, but we wouldn't get all of the flavor, you might say, to this experience on planet Earth that comes with there also being negatively oriented entities, people. And that's basically it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick quick rundown on good and evil and sin and show you that it's not really something you should worry a whole lot about. If you're interested, you can read The Law of One, and that will give you a lot of tools to help your soul's evolution. Because once you know that you're on a certain path, what you do is you polarize towards that path. You become more selfless, more service to others, or you become more selfish, service to self. There aren't many people who are well developed on the service to self path. There are some, but it's rarer, because in the Law of One it states that you have to be 95% service to self in order to evolve. You have to be 51% service to others to evolve to the next stage of consciousness. But anyway, that's all for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and I'll be putting out more content shortly, so go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.